Hello Rositaverse, welcome back to the channel. Now before I start, I just want to do a bit of housekeeping, and by the way, you can always skip this part if you don't want to watch it. I know these days we are not that patient, I mean myself included. There are times when I'm like, get to the point, so you can always skip, but I try not to be robotic. I don't want to be too robotic, like just talk at people. You know, we're having a conversation and we're human beings. So anyway, I just want to say that I've started a brand new job and it's exciting, but at the moment things are a little bit intense because there's a lot to get my head around. We're learning new things, training and all that. So yeah, I may have to scale back on my videos. I may have to post less. So we'll see how it goes. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share. A new chapter in my life, exciting and all that. So anyway, in this video, I want to talk about leaving the UK and leaving the diaspora. So at the moment, a lot of people are operating in this mindset where they are starting to weigh their options, especially Africans. We are now operating in this mindset where we are starting to realize that we are not meant to live in certain climates or to live in certain countries. We are starting to reflect a lot. And I know that most of us are planning or thinking or considering leaving the UK, leaving the West altogether. Because let's face it, a lot of things have changed over the years. Things are so much different. I came here 25 years ago and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that a lot has changed. First of all, the rise in cost of living. I know some people, I've made a video which I posted on TikTok talking about the rise in cost of living, and someone commented saying, oh, it is because of poor planning. I don't think that's the case. It's nothing to do with poor planning. Things are just hard. I mean, yes, things are hard everywhere. That's another comment that I got to say, you know what? Things are not just hard in the UK or in the United States. Things are hard even in Africa. I get that. But right now we're talking about a situation where Africans who left Africa seeking, greener pastures are now starting to realize that the grass is not that greener. That's the kind of situation I'm talking about. And I'm looking at it holistically, meaning that I'm not just looking at the rise in cost of living. I'm looking at the quality of life. I'm looking at other aspects of our lives. I'm looking at our mental health. How is our mental health? And by the way, I think I'm already talking about why people want to leave the UK or want to leave the United States or Europe, wherever you are. If you're an African especially, we are now operating in this mindset where we've had enough and we're starting to realize that, you know what we thought life was going to be like is not the reality at the moment. And not just Africans, by the way, even the natives of this country. I just saw a video just a few minutes ago before I started this video. Someone was saying, it was a native saying, I want to leave the UK, but I don't know where to go. So everyone, let me not say everyone because that's not everyone, but certainly those voices are now getting louder and louder. And as for the reasons as to why most Africans are starting to weigh their options, some want to go back home. They really want to go back home because they are realizing, you know what, Africa might not be so bad after all. Another reason for that is just feeling like an outsider. I mean, let's go a thing. The political climate has changed. There is a global shift. In the UK, even in the United States, there are growing calls. I mean, let me say the attitude towards immigrants has changed drastically. It is now more negative. Immigrants are now mostly seen as intruders, not contributing anything. Yeah, there's a lot that is being said, especially in the media. The media isn't helping because we know that what is being said in the media is not what is happening. It's not the reality on the ground, especially when it comes to benefits. People seem to think that immigrants are just out here claiming benefits. They're just taking, not giving anything. That's not the reality on the ground. Most immigrants can't claim benefits anyway because they've got restrictions on their visa. And guess who the majority of people who claim benefits are. So that is another reason as well why people are starting to feel some type of way. And another reason as well why Africans living in the diaspora are now being drawn towards home, going back to Africa, is the fact that they now miss home, especially if you've been here for so many years. After a while, you start developing this longing for home. I mean, at the moment, let me speak for myself. I feel it, that feeling has become so strong within me. I guess the way I look at it, I think this is spiritual. I see it as the motherland calling us back home. But here's the funny part. I went on X and I came across several posts of people talking about wanting to leave Africa. When I read those posts, I was like, wow, isn't this interesting? Because on the one hand, we have Africans who are saying, you know what, the West isn't all that it's cracked up to be. It is not that great anymore anyway, let me say. And then on the other hand, we have Africans who can't wait to leave the motherland, who are longing to actually go to the West. I just think that that is really interesting. I mean, what do you think about this situation? What is going on here? Because as I said, we have Africans on the continent who can't wait to leave Africa because maybe because of lack of opportunities or perceived lack of opportunities, let me say. And then, like I said, we also have Africans who don't see the green in the greener pastures anymore. So yeah, what is going on here? What is going on? So anyway, here's the reality, the harsh reality. And I hate to be the one to say it, but if we are to be honest with ourselves, deep down, we know that this talk of leaving the UK because it's no longer great, it's no longer as green as we thought it was. Deep down, we know that that is wishful thinking at the moment. We know this. Most of us won't be able to leave the UK. And there are reasons for that. It's not that the reasons are not genuine. They are genuine reasons. And unfortunately, there are reasons that keep us stuck. Not just Africans, but most people, even the natives of this country, those who are thinking of wanting to leave as well, to go to other countries to start a brand new life, they won't be able to leave. And there are several reasons for that. One of those reasons is to do with financial ties. We now have financial ties to the UK. For example, if you've got a loan, maybe you took a loan of £10,000. Guess what? You need to honor your commitments. You need to pay that loan. If you've got credit cards, if you've got a mortgage, that is a financial tie that you have with the country that you now live in. And you can't just say, oh, I'm fed up with the UK. I'm tired of dealing with this, so I want to leave. You can't just up and leave. You have financial commitments. Even if you run away, guess what? Interpol will be on your case. In the world that we live nowadays, there's nowhere to hide. Even if you say, okay, I'll go to Zimbabwe and go to my rural area. In my case, I'll go to Gurube and hide in that cave. They will find you. These days, you can't hide. You can't run away. So yeah, because of these ties, we are now stuck. That's one reason. The second reason is family. We have kids who are still going to school. As a parent, you can't just up and leave your kids. You want to make sure that they are well taken care of. You want to make sure that you see them through their education. So that is another reason, and it's a valid reason. Another reason as well is psychological attachment. Some of us, we've been here for so long, and over time, of course, you develop an attachment to a place. I mean, you've made friends and you're now used to this way of life. You become attached, and also fear of the unknown. Because of that attachment, you're thinking, okay, if I go to Africa, will I be able to manage? You now have this fear of leaving what has now become your comfort zone. You have fear of the unknown. You don't know what the situation is like. Yes, we go on holidays, we see things happen, we see how people live, and we experience life. But if you go for only 4 weeks, 3 weeks, or even 2 months, that's not long enough for you to actually become comfortable to say, you know what, I'll be able to cope here. This is fine with me. Yeah, some of us have got that fear. And that fear is genuine, because I know some of us might say, how can you think like that, or how can you feel like that about your own home country, the place that gave birth to you? But this is real. That fear is real because, like I said, people are now in their comfort zone. They've been living here for so long and they've become attached to the place. Another reason is to do with visa or residency complications. Some people might feel, okay, I'm on this type of visa. I want to wait until, I've got this status before I can leave, because they want to leave the door open. That is also another reason why people won't be able to leave the UK, or won't be able to leave the UK when they want to leave. It's because of the residency issues, visa issues. So that's that when it comes to the reasons as to why people won't be able to leave the UK, or the West or the diaspora. Now coming to the solutions, this is where I give you my suggestions, because I've given you the problems, the issues that we are dealing with. So what is the strategy? The strategy is, if you want to leave the UK, now is the time for you to start planning your exit strategy. Now, what are some of the things to consider when it comes to that exit strategy? Of course, you need to consider the finances, because if you're going to leave to go back to Africa, you need to look at your source of income. How are you going to live? What is going to be your source of income there? What are you planning to do when it comes to your finances? You want to have some kind of financial freedom, yeah? Getting rid of debt is one strategy. If you've got a mortgage, what are you going to do with your mortgage? Are you going to sell your house? Are you going to find a tenant so that you have a bit of money coming in? And also, what is the tax situation? Depending on how you plan to live your life if you leave the UK. Are you going to live a few months in the UK, a few months in Africa? What is the strategy? And also, if you're planning to leave the UK, you may want to consider as well strengthening the family ties. You want to consider, if you had kind of like ignored people back home, and if you're not maintaining that connection, you may want to start doing that, because when you go back home, you're going to need, you know, that family, you're going to need that community, because things are also going to be a little bit different. Things are going to be difficult, you know, challenging as well. So you're going to need people to help you out, people to rely on, to show you how to go about things, and also just that emotional support. So you need family, you need community. So if you're planning to leave, now may be the time to start making those phone calls. My last suggestion is to do with investing. You want to start looking at investing in African markets, because investing in African markets on the broader level, it also helps Africa rise. It helps Africa to thrive. Now, when it comes to investing in African markets, I haven't really done research to find out exactly how much or whether we are investing in our own markets as Africans. I don't know the numbers, but looking at our situation at the moment, the situation in Africa, the fact that we are still running away from the motherland to seek greener pastures, the fact that we're still doing that, and the fact that we still have lack of opportunities in Africa, and also judging from what I know about us Africans, I say us because I'm also an African, I know our mindset as well. I know how we are wired. If we are to be honest, do we invest in African markets? I know there are people who invest in African markets. I'm not saying we don't have them. I know, even without knowing the numbers, I know there are people who do that. But on what scale? Are we doing it enough? That's what I'm talking about. Are we doing that enough so that Africa can actually rise? Because mind you, this is about Africa's future. What are we doing when we are investing? Are we investing enough in African markets? So this is another strategy that we need to actually start implementing today. Now is the time to start promoting African businesses. Let us promote our businesses. Let us establish businesses back home and promote them. If there's a company that is just starting, if there's something that you can do to promote it, why not? We can promote our own by buying from African businesses, from African shops. Let us promote our own by using their products and services. And one thing I'll say, if you're an African and you're running a business, please be professional, because I made a video talking about why Black people don't support one another when it comes to business. It is because of our attitude. I mean, I've experienced this on a personal level. The number of times I've gone into an African shop wanting to buy something and changing my mind because of the attitude. There is no customer service. We treat each other like, you know, I don't want to say the word, and I don't get it. I just don't get it. This is why we're not getting anywhere as a people, because the truth is we are not meant to live in this kind of climates where we are cold all the time, where we don't have the sunshine. A warm climate is good for our DNA. It's good for our health. We need that vitamin D. It's our source of life. The sun is our source of life. Our quality of life, if I'm to be honest, yes, we have the money, we go to work, we get paid, we eat the food, but when we look at things holistically, our quality of life is deteriorating as Africans. It is deteriorating socially, mentally, and physically. It is deteriorating. So this is why I'm saying, yeah, this is a serious situation. So this is why I'm saying, if you want to leave the UK, now is the time to start planning, start putting things in motion, if that is going to become a reality. Because the truth of the matter is, it is not an easy process. It is not an easy thing to accomplish. And another thing as well, I want to end by saying is, I don't think that as Africans living in the diaspora, we should give one another pressure. And I don't think that we should turn this into some kind of stigma if you don't subscribe to the idea of going back home. Because the truth is, like I mentioned earlier, the truth is some people know deep down that they are not in a position to do so because of their circumstances. And if they don't go along with that wave of thinking, then guess what? We shouldn't really look down on them. It is okay. I mean, I'm still here because I'm not yet in a position to go back home. So anyway, this is what I had for you in this video. I don't know what to think about everything I've said. Yeah, let us talk about this. What is happening? What are your thoughts? What do you think? What are we going to do about our situation? What exactly are we going to do?